Hello and welcome to a Star Citizen monthly report looking at what Cloud Imperium have been working on over the last few weeks of April and May, and what they are working on currently this quarter with the new Pyro star system, new Crusader ships like the Mercury Star Runner and Hercules Star Lifter, Vulkan integration for the Gen 12 renderer, and general gameplay improvements. This is a summary of the Star Citizen monthly report for the Persistent Universe with a focus on what's new. Cloud Imperium continue to work on Pyro, the next star system that we will have in the Persistent Universe, with an unstable star, hostile landscapes, and dangerous plant life when it launches. The environment art team said after the frozen dangers of Microtech and its moons, Pyro will definitely put the players in a new and exciting surrounding full of new challenges. Pyro 1 and 2, the planets there, seem to be in the focus recently. They will make full use of the Planet Tech V4. We saw some lovely screenshots of them. They are currently creating new geology and vegetation packs and putting them together on the new planets in that system. Art is currently creating various carnivorous species. The level design team are working on Horizon, the Crusader landing zone. They are working on the environment and creating Horizon tourist characters. Updates are being made to Grimhex. This involves finishing off its internal racing kiosks. It's going to have races there. They're making structural changes to the asteroid and finally adding hangars that will allow the storing and spawning of larger ships. This will sort of have Grimhex as a true landing zone and a haven to criminal and outlaw players in the Stanton system, and actually be fully usable for that purpose. You'll actually be able to fully operate out of there is the idea. The lighting team looked at adding day and night setups to Lorville, which will create different ambient moods depending on the time of day. Cube maps as well saw updates preventing areas looking too dark when there's like no light or very low light. They have been working on restricted areas, ensuring that they work as intended when added to the Persistent Universe. So this will have us being able to fly pretty close to cities and not have some sort of like horrible, overly aggressive, obtrusive like shield or something that flashes in front of us. They have started implementing new refinery station kiosks. Players will be able to use these to convert raw materials into refined goods that can then be sold for higher prices and in the future be used to craft items. We know that the dynamic universe simulation they've got planned, the Quanta system, is supposed to take materials, like take them to refineries, then have them moved around the verse to then actually create items from these like manufacturing nodes. But I actually think that there might be more of a player level crafting to some extent, or more hands-on crafting, that you can have those items actually crafted yourself. That's what that sort of implies to me. That might be me reading too much into it though. You'll take your mixed materials to a station with refining capabilities and then start a refining job. Based on the type of refining process, the materials they want to refine or discard, and how busy a refinery is, a player will then pay a fee and the job will begin. Refining will then run even if a player is not present in the station or logged on, and once finished, the player will have a notification that they will be able to return to the station and collect their goods. So there's fees and times associated with this, and I assume that will make the actual items smaller, and potentially then these can be then taken to another station in the future, or another area or crafting bench or whatever, and made into something else, or just sold. And in the short term, that's what it's going to be. It's just going to be selling refined materials. They are also beginning preliminary work on a new player trading app for the Mobiglass. The first phase focuses on the ability to send currency between players, with later revisions extending to physical inventory items. That is something that has been needed in the game for so long, and hopefully we will see that this year. Fire. So there's going to be a fire mechanic. The ship and environmental fire propagation system was developed for this. It will spread fire based on various material parameters, such as fuel, surface type, and oxygen level. They also plan to make fire interactive with environments and player interaction, such as blowing in the wind and players being able to use fire extinguishers on it. Cloud Imperium have previously prototyped sort of like fire suppression systems on ships, and I'm really hoping to see them in game at some point. A new life support item is being developed that allows ships to repressurize after their internal atmospheres have been vented. It also works in stations, outposts, and other room-based structures with airlocks. This is one of the limiting factors to how many people can be on a ship, technically. There was also support initiatives for Arena Commander, Star Marine, and Theatres of War, the new gameplay mode, which we will see sometime in May, and the Invictus Launch Week, otherwise known as Fleet Week. The vehicle technical team have also incorporated a new in-game system that will be revealed during an upcoming event, assumedly something that's happening in May, like Fleet Week. It could be something for Theatres of War though, or it could be, I'm hoping, that it's ship colour tinting or customization, or even vehicle in ship spawning. It could be none of that though, so we'll have to wait and see. We will have Fleet Week at some point in May, and we will see a free fly, ship sales, and that sort of thing going on, and I expect that 3.9.1 will come out as a patch as well during May, and we know that Theatres of War is having some form of weekend test again at some point in May, so there's a lot going on there. There's been quite a lot of progress on various ships like the Crusader Hercules. The bulk of the exterior is now grey box complete, while the thrusters and turrets are currently being worked on. Inside, the bridge is grey box complete as well, and the rest of the upper deck, including the hab area, is making great progress. The interior doors are complete, and the large hold is starting to take shape. With the Mercury Star Runner, they are working through the cockpit grey box and cargo holds. Progress was made on its wings and turret exteriors as well. There are ongoing improvements to the Origin M50, and that's entered a polishing phase for that. The Cutlass Blue prisoner pods were being tweaked after feedback as well. It was going to be interesting to see whether we have a quantum enforcement drive for the Cutlass Blue as a potential variant of the Cutlass Blue, or as a modular change, or maybe something it just has as well. That's sort of rumoured that it has quantum enforcement, ability to take ships out of quantum in the same way that the Mantis does, maybe to a lesser extent. We'll have to wait and see. Work on an unannounced ship continued too. This could be the Origin Jumpworks teased project, or it could be something entirely new. I'm hoping it's something we see for Fleet Week, whether it's straight to flyable or if it's going to be a concept, we don't know. There are lots of UI improvements going on, notably to targeting, missile locks, cockpits, landing UIs. They're rebuilding the vehicle HUDs using the new building block system and updating loads of UIs across the game. There is work on improving how IFCS and the flight model copes with the imbalance to ship's thrusters. For example, when thrusters are damaged, the imbalance will cause undesirable power delivery and make controlling the ship more difficult. There is also testing going on improving ship combat in general. I'm very much looking forward to variable power and weaker power in thrusters, especially in atmospheres and in varying sort of like environments around the verse. That will make ships fly a lot better in atmosphere, in my opinion. Progress on docking was also made, with the team figuring out how to connect ships while the physics engine reacts appropriately with that. We're going to see, hopefully, docking in the Q3 2020 patch. The weapons team iterated on the Bearing GP33 grenade launcher, bringing it up to current standards. The Lightning Bolt Co. ATSCAV sniper rifle and Yubarev pistol received final art passes and LOD passes. The Electron weapons there require new functionality not seen in Star Citizen before, and it'll be exciting to see what they've actually chosen for them effect-wise and how they actually operate, because there was going to be like potentially stunning effects or electrocution effects, less than lethal, exploding, chaining. Lots of different ways were thought about with these weapons, and I don't actually know what they've gone with. The Gemini C-54 SMG was reviewed by design, which led to its dimensions being significantly trimmed down to make it feel more like an SMG and less like an assault rifle. Pre-production started on size 12 torpedoes, and updates to the sledge mass driver weapons are also being made. They worked on reloading and malfunction animations for all weapon classes, development of stumbles, knockdowns, body dragging, and what happens when a player is injured or incapacitated has continued as well. They want players to be sort of like stunned, knocked down, and bleeding out, but they can and then be like helped back up or jabbed with a medipen to get back into the fight or stabilized. They don't want players to just be insta GG respawn every time you get shot at. Backend and renderer stuff and engine things. So work continued on the Gen 12 renderer, which is basically Star Citizen getting Vulkan integration and a load of other improvements to its engine. The focus at the moment is getting a preliminary pipeline up and running. They have made headway into permanently enabling certain Gen 12 render effects and improving streaming for object containers in the engine now. Lots of optimizations are going on with that. This is the first of several major milestones in the development of a new renderer that will allow them to depreciate much of the old post-effect code and sort of like all the old renderer stuff and get into using the first step, both DirectX 11 and Vulkan, and then move entirely over to Vulkan. There are organic shader updates for vegetation and rocks. They're being integrated into Planet v4, along with a few other features. We're going to see better assets, better looking assets, and better planetary terrain all over planets with these sort of like rocks and vegetation and cool stuff like that, whether they be big or small. They're going to keep on improving planetary tech, but they are staying at V4. V4's the sort of like main bones and structure of their final planet tech, but they are going to keep on improving it. The long-awaited real-time environment probe feature was complete as well. This allows bounced lighting and reflections to be recomputed dynamically to account for ever-changing lighting on rotating planets, orbiting space stations, lights being turned off and on, and destroyed interiors. There is ongoing work to oceans. They have upgraded buoyancy physics to make it functional with the new changes. I just want to say that every time I tried to say buoyancy, I said Beyonce for like 8 takes. I don't normally... I'm a monster. They fixed motion vectors on deferred oceans and added subsurface scattering to improve the appearance of crest waves. Cloud Imperium have dealt with a variety of bugs and fixes for 3.9, some of which are already implemented, others are planned for 3.9.1. These include fixing memory leaks that were discovered on some of the backend services. Work also begun on the backend of the new dynamic mission services, as well as the entitlement processing, iCache, advanced queries, the general instance manager. They all saw service development. There were general improvements to physics. Updates were made to body dragging, making it less resource intensive, as well as making it look good when dragging someone or something. Basic ricochet behavior was added. I want to see if this is more than just an effect, because it is part of the physics. So if we actually have it as you can be ricocheted by shrapnel and stuff, that's interesting. We've got a little bit on AI characters and NPCs. Social AI and usable items have seen improvements, so they've sort of streamlined and optimized the way that NPCs will interact with items, how they move to them, away from them, how they use them, how they interact with other NPCs and players while interacting with an item. Work started on compound usables, which can inherit functionalities from other usables and then override data based on specific setups. For example, maintenance or inspection operations on a Gladius might use generic animations in most locations, but more complex ones in specific areas or for specific ships, if you see what I mean. Functionality and visual quality were further developed for vendors such as bartenders. They will represent the first gold standard of fully developed social AI when complete bartenders, including more subtle things like AI being able to differentiate between open and closed bottles and act accordingly. They have more generally worked on animations and wild lines for shopkeepers and bartenders too. We should see significant improvement in visual fidelity of their behaviors. AI patrol pathing saw improvements with streamlining of how NPCs move to and use doors, elevators, and transit systems, basically how they get to places. Improvements were made allowing for quicker mocap shoots and manipulation of that in the future, so when they need to get some quick mocap animation or anything like that, they can do that within their own internal studio stuff. They are updating face rigs with the new runtime rig system improvements, so better faces and expressions. For hair, they've created a new slider internally for creating a salt and pepper look and improved scattering for blonde and bright hair. We will be seeing more updates to faces and character customization in the future. And that's sort of it for this month's monthly report for the Persistent Universe. We know that Cloud Imperium are changing the name of the next Persistent Universe patch, so it's not 4.0, as they're saving that moniker for when we have the Pyro system in the game. So as soon as we have that jump point, we have Pyro, that's when they go, this is 4.0. So at the moment, we're on 3.9. The next patch is the Q2 2020 patch at the end of June, so that's most likely to be called 3.10 at the moment, although we will find out with some roadmap updates this Friday. I'll cover the Squadron 42 updates in another video. There's quite a lot there as well. But what do you think about what we talked about? Do you think we will see the Pyro system in 2020? Are you excited for Crusader ships, such as the Mercury and Hercules, or the Crusader landing zone Horizon? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Every month we have a giveaway. For May, we're giving away a Star Citizen game package with Arrow Light Fighter. All you've got to do to be in for a chance of winning that is comment on any of my videos made during the month. More details below. I am a shill for a couple of companies, NordVPN and NordPass. If you are looking for a VPN or a password management system, I recommend you check them out. They've got many benefits over free services, and as I'm pretty security conscious, I love those kind of services. Also, there's Shadow. If you are thinking about getting a new gaming rig or upgrading your gaming PC for Star Citizen or whatever, then consider Shadow instead. It is a internet cloud-based subscription service like Stadia, like GeForce Now, but this one gives you access to a full Windows 10 environment which is fully customizable, and that is significantly better in my opinion, allowing you to do a lot more with it. Check out the links below for them or use the code BoredGamer for discount. Also, if you wish to support the channel further, there is Patreon, there's the YouTube join member button down below. That really helps. This is a community supported channel and I wouldn't be able to do what I do without the support that I get. If you want to share these videos, if you want to comment, give feedback, whatever, that is also hugely appreciated. Thanks very much for watching, guys. You take care, and I'll see you in the verse.